Hello, I am PB Saltman, and welcome to the third and final build video of my Tango Skiff 14. If you haven't watched parts 1 and 2, there's a link in the description. I start by applying the second coat of epoxy to the inside of the sponsons. Next, there is a zip tie in place, following a process similar to stitching glue, except without the bending. The zip ties are just there to hold the panels in place, while the epoxy cures. I take the fillet compound and try to work it into all of the joints. After the initial round of filling cures, I go back and fill in the spots I missed and the holes for the zip ties to ensure that the sponsons are watertight. I didn't want to leave any holes. Next, I secured the breastplate to the front of my boat with fillet compound. I went back over the sponsons with Bondo to make the surface smoother after sanding and to fill all of the imperfections. Once the boat was flipped over, I went along and removed the rest of the zip tie nubs and started cleaning up the surface. I made sure to sand and blow off the dust as I went. The joint between the bottom of the sponsons and the bottom of my boat has to withstand a huge amount of water pressure due to the motor being between the sponsons, so I put fiberglass tape along the bottom seams. The whole back of the boat has fiberglass cloth as well. This is for extra strength in general. I started from the middle and worked my way out, so that I did not get any wrinkles in the fabric. This cloth is very similar to the fiberglass tape, except it is a larger cloth. It is adhered to the surface with the same epoxy I've been using this whole project. It also takes a lot of epoxy to wet out so much cloth, so I had to make several batches. I used a box cutter with a GoPro attached to it to cut off the excess cloth from the top of the transom. As you can see, there is an indent in the middle of the transom, and that is where the motor sits. I went back with fillet compound and filled all of the holes in the bottom of the boat. I also made the joint between the four boards in the front nicer by just smoothing things out and filling the crack that was formed. There was also some imperfections in the wood which had to be filled. After sanding, we tacked cloth the entire bottom of the boat to prepare for fiberglassing. My apologies for the slightly messed up video. My computer was struggling to render so much footage and was not happy with me. We rolled out the sheets to get them roughly in place so that we could cut them to shape. When cutting the cloth, you have to leave a lot of extra because the cloth can shift as you are wetting it out and you don't want to run out. There are two sheets of cloth that are overlapped in the middle to cover the whole bottom of my boat. I got another roller for the epoxy because there was just so much that needed to get covered. It would have taken all day with a brush. I made my way along, making sure to avoid getting wrinkles in the cloth. After wetting down both of the sides, I peeled up one sheet and wetted the cloth beneath it down, before covering it back up and wetting the cloth down to another cloth, which was an odd experience. Doing large amounts of fiberglassing at a time is always stressful because of the time constraints that you have on you. You have to get it done in a certain amount of time, otherwise the epoxy will harden. I had to do both of the sides as well. I was less successful at avoiding wrinkles. Probably because I did not start from the middle and work my way out, or because the top was already set in place. I spent a long time smoothing and working with the cloth to get it to lay properly. I trimmed as I went, cutting off the extra cloth laying beneath my boat. All of this fiberglass gives the bottom and sides of the boat their true strength, because after all, it is just 3/8 inch plywood. All of the work I did on this boat was done in a shed made out of 2x4s cut in half and a tarp. It kept me dry and it kept the elements off of my boat. I did trim the excess off the front to get the cloth to lay over the complex curve on the front of my boat. I love the shape of the front of this boat, but it was a pain to work with. The cloth did not want to lay right. I let the epoxy harden, but not cure all of the way, and by doing this I could layer another coat of epoxy over the cloth without having to sand the bottom of the boat again. Epoxy enters a tacky phase before it is cured all the way, meaning it is stiff and partially cured, but is not solid yet. There is a specific time window that you have to be in for this to work, making these couple of video clips an all-day experience. I had to have the second layer of epoxy for water resistance and to make sure that all the cloth was properly attached. I ended up using a paintbrush, and you can definitely tell that it took longer to cover the same amount of area. It was very important to get everything coated well with epoxy so that the plywood didn't rot in the water. The boat sits on little mini sawhorses, which were also made from 2x4s. Next we put down a fairing coat of phenolic microblooms mixed with epoxy. The point of the coat was to build up material to be sanded so that the surface would be smoother, and you could not see the weave pattern of the fiberglass cloth. By building it up and then sanding it back, you make the bottom of the boat smoother. If I didn't do this, you could see the imperfections in the paint when I was done. Me and my dad used scrapers to spread the micro balloons on the boat. In hindsight, we should have gotten more micro balloons because we ran out very quickly and had to use a less concentrated mixture. It was fun to see the boat different colors, but the real reason for the micro balloons was to make the epoxy easier to sand, because epoxy is not very easy to sand on its own. Me and my dad had to cover the sides of the boat as well as the bottom. After sanding, it was time to put on the first coat of primer. This was a gray epoxy primer from TotalBoat.com. We used a roller and it went on pretty well. The primer had some sort of thinner in it, so it rolled on really nice, but when the thinner evaporated, it turned back into regular epoxy and did not want to be touched. We did 2 coats of this to really protect the bottom of the boat from the elements. Watch out, these next clips are very shaky. I had the GoPro on my head as I was fiberglass taping the inside, and as it turns out I moved my head a lot. All of the undersides of the seats had been filleted earlier, which I didn't record, so that means all I had to do was apply fiberglass tape and epoxy. As always, I started by applying down a bead of epoxy in the middle before laying the tape down and wetting the cloth out, starting in the middle and working my way outwards. I wanted to make sure that my seats were very strong and did not go anywhere, which is why I was putting in all of this extra work. The view from inside the boat also does a good job of showing all of the filleting and fiberglass taping inside the boat. After taping the front seats and the side parts that connect the seats to the walls, I had to go mix up some more epoxy. This is roughly the process I had to follow for all of the epoxying on my boat. I used a scale and mixed the 2 parts by weight. There was always more part A, and the ratio changes from epoxy to epoxy. Usually does something like 2 to 1 or 5 to 1. I always mixed using the double cup method. I would pour everything into 1 cup and mix for about a minute, making sure to scrape the sides and the bottom. Then I would pour the mixture into a new cup and mix again. This is to make sure that all of the epoxy gets mixed together and there's not any unmixed hardener left over. Next came the middle seats. This went very similar to the front ones, and it was just more wetting down fiberglass tape. I had to be very careful with my scales because it took a long time to register the weight being added. I also used pieces of scrapped wood as stir stick. It was very uncomfortable trying to work under the boat, but it was worth it for the sake of solid construction. Finally, I finished weighing down the side pieces that connected the middle seats to the wall of my boat. Rub rails on the side of my boat are made from 3/8 inch plywood and had to be put on after we were done sanding the outside, because they are hard to sand around. Each rub rail is made from 2 lengths of wood that get epoxied and then clamped onto the boat. We made sure to use plenty of clamps to hold the wood on. This process is repeated on both sides. Next, I filled the top of the center console to the seat. There was an ugly gap that needed to be filled, and this provides strength to both of the components. I enlisted the help of one of my friends, and we filled small holes in the rub rail and around the boat as well. After the fillet compound had cured and had been sanded, I put fiberglass tape on the joint and covered the whole front in another coat of epoxy. Eagle-eyed viewers may notice some cheeky Bondo in there, and that was because the epoxy was sagging as it cured. Finally, we were ready to start on the finishing layers. The boat was tack clothed, which is the process of using something like acetone that evaporates to really clean the boat and get all of the dust off. This helps with adhesion of the epoxy layer. We used the same brand of epoxy primer, except this time in white. The inside geometry is also too complicated for using a roller, so we painted it on, starting at opposite corners. We mixed a large batch at once and tried to paint as much as we could over the boat. After 1 coat of primer, it became really easy to see the imperfections and spots that needed attention. So me and my dad took Bondo and started smearing it into all the spots. The fiberglass tape left a really rough transition where it ended, so that was one of the spots that needed a lot of attention. Through the process of adding Bondo and then sanding it off, we were able to make the inside so much smoother. This is because as you sand off Bondo, you're removing material from only the highest spots, leaving a flatter surface than what you started with, at least if you do it correctly. We also ended up sanding through some parts of the first coat of primer, which was okay because this primer ended up being a very high build primer. This means a lot of material was laid down, which then we could sand back to make the surface flatter. There was a large amount of sanding to be done, as you can see, and this was only the stuff that I recorded. It has taken me a tremendous amount of time to make and edit these videos, so I have already taken this boat out several times, and it has been so much fun. It comfortably fits 3 people, and you could probably fit more if you wanted to, although it has a rated weight limit of 600 pounds. I have taken it on Lake Michigan and it has survived the Death's Door crossing in very calm weather. The crossing is from Gills Rock, Wisconsin, around to Jacksonport, then across to Washington Island. The boat handled beautifully, and only started to get tossed around when the large car ferries went by. They make a very large wake. This boat struggles with waves larger than 2 feet, and you have to be careful not to flood the inside with water. The 20 horsepower Suzuki outboard that I went with provides plenty of power It would most likely be able to tow a wakeboard or small child on water skis. On smaller inland lakes, this boat can handle just about any conditions. I applied the same fairing compound on the sponsons that I had on the bottom of the boat. The compound was being used to hide the fiberglass weave again. The fairing compound was drippier than I remembered, and you can watch it sag down in the time lapse. I spread the compound on both sides and made sure that I caught any drips. I really like how the sponsons look, and they make the boat very unique. Their main actual purpose is to stop the boat from squatting backwards while accelerating. By squatting backwards, I mean the front of the boat lifting out of the water and the whole boat rotating upwards. The sponsons do this by providing buoyancy behind where the force from the motor is, limiting the amount of rotational torque the motor can create. With one last touch-up coat of primer, the boat was almost ready for paint. I used wet edge topside paint from the same website as before. I will leave a link in the description. We used an air compressor to power a paint spray gun, and we sprayed all of the paint for this boat. It was very challenging to spray inside the boat because of all the tight spaces. We also had to thin the paint to get it spraying correctly. Me and my friend used the last remaining white primer to paint the back of the transom and sponsons. You may notice a piece of wood that I have not shown attached to the back. It is a piece of mahogany, and the purpose of it is to tilt the motor farther back. At this point, I had the motor, and when I tried to test fit it, it didn't look like it was tilted inwards far enough. I am very glad we made this mount because we were definitely correct in our assessment. After scuff sanding the first coat of paint very lightly, we put on a second layer of white paint on the boat. This was to ensure all of the epoxy was protected from UV and for extra durability. The paint dried very smooth and does become slippery when wet, so I will eventually add something on the floor to make it grippy. Our air hose was very heavy and did not want to cooperate with painting. Sadly, I did not capture all of the painting on the bottom, but this is after one or two coats, and we are sanding it down before the next coat. I was aiming for a mirror finish on the bottom, and we got it as close as we could without buffing or a better spray gun. The spray pattern from the gun itself left very small divots. There was of course lots of sanding again. For all of your sanities, I did not record all of the sanding, but there was this or more between every coat. We used a combination of the random orbit sander and sanding blocks made from 2x4s. The blue paint on the bottom went on very similar to the white paint on the inside, with the main difference being it was a simpler shape to spray. I went with navy blue on the outside because I liked the color, and white on the inside so that it did not get burning hot in the sun. The rub rails also got painted white. I also made sure to go and paint all the undersides of the seats just for an extra layer of protection against the water. I made sure to get the undersides of the front, middle, and rear seats as well as the inside of the center console. It was very challenging painting in an upside down boat, and the respirator I had to wear was very stuffy. However, it was still better than painting upside down. The GoPro on my head was very wobbly in the time lapse, but I still think it is cool to see the inside of the boat in such detail. I hope you guys have all enjoyed this, and if you've watched the whole series through, congrats! You're almost to the end. I will make another video showing off the boat with all of its bells and whistles attached, so subscribe and turn on notifications. I did not record any of the installation, so the video will simply be showing the boat in its full glory. And voila, just like that, you have a boat.